We've been covering the NRA Trump Russia story for months at this point, and it is stunning to watch how the public admissions of the NRA have sort of inched closer and closer and closer to the initial report that we did. And to reset this for you, back in February, I interviewed Vivica Novak. Vivica Novak is overseeing an investigative journalism team at McClatchy, D.C. And her team's investigation was into money coming from Russia to and through the NRA and into the Trump campaign, which would not be legal because foreign funds are not allowed to be used for political purposes here in the United States for American elections. And there were a number of mechanisms that Vivica's team pointed out that the NRA appeared to be using to hide the sources of that money. But the McClatchy story that we initially talked to Vivica Novak about was very well sourced, very, very well done. Now, the NRA originally denied it altogether. They just said, none of this is true. It's not happening, period. Bogus story, fake news. In late March, about a month after we did that story, I did a follow-up story where the NRA did actually admit in a letter to Senator Ron Wyden, who's been looking into this, Democratic senator, they did admit that they do receive foreign funds, but they denied that the funds came from Russia. And they also denied that anything illegal went on because they have their political funds and their non-political funds separate. Now, at the time, we talked about how a lot of those assertions really didn't make any sense and had very little legal significance, but at least, okay, the NRA was moving a step closer to actually confirming the story of McClatchy. It now gets even closer. We have a new admission from the NRA where they have now admitted that, yeah, they have more than 20 Russian-linked donors, specifically 23 Russians or Americans living in Russia since 2015. This we also know because of a recently released letter that they wrote to Senator Ron Wyden that I told you about a couple weeks ago. We now have more information about that. Now, you might hear me say this and say, David, 23 individuals making contributions over the last couple of years is very, very different than a concerted effort by the NRA to funnel Russian money into Trump's political campaign, potentially in violation of campaign finance law. And I would say you're not wrong, but once again, baby steps towards confirming the story from months ago. The admissions say the payments weren't big payments and they weren't political payments. They were for membership dues and subscriptions to the NRA magazine. It's just so hard to believe that they're telling the truth now, since they weren't telling us the truth all along. And the NRA seems pretty sick of all of this. They're saying, listen, we've cooperated this far. We're not going to be saying anything else. We're not going to be providing any more documents. And of course, they are going to try to downplay this once again as just little amounts of money for memberships and magazine subscriptions. But the most important element of this is that the story keeps changing. Before it was, well, we received one contribution from a Russian individual. Now the number is 23 Russians and Americans in Russia. That's already a drastic difference from what we were originally told. And what's really the focus here, and the possible area where it becomes legally questionable, is the purpose of the donations, because it's legal. It's completely legal for foreigners to give money to the NRA for a subscription to the NRA if they want to do that, sure. If they want to get the NRA magazine, that's something that foreigners are allowed to pay for. It is not legal, however, for foreigners to donate to the political fund that the NRA has for influencing elections. And of course, the problem is that the NRA appears to be commingling funds. And that gets back to Vivica Novak's investigation, where what her team found out was that, sure, on paper, the NRA maintains a political bank account and a non-political bank account, or at least maybe not even formal bank account separation, but at least accounting separation between that money. But there's every indication that they are commingling those funds. Thus, that legal distinction becomes effectively irrelevant. So to be clear, yeah, I know $2,500 total, which is what it seems to be in subscription payments. That's not major. What's major is that the NRA now has contradicted itself and fallen short of telling both the truth and the whole truth in a way that no rational person should trust that the NRA is now telling us the full story. And what will we know in a month? I don't know, but very, very clear that Vivica Novak's team was onto something back in February. That YouTube clip now has, I don't know, a couple 100,000 views, I believe. And it's a story that with every passing week, we seem to know more about. Send me your thoughts about this and about the Syria situation. I'm on Twitter at dpakman, and the show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. Plenty more from Las Vegas, Nevada after the break.
Today's episode of the program is made possible in part by Cody, a new innovative cryptocurrency and online payment platform that's setting out to revolutionize how payments are sent and received online. What Cody stands for is currency of the internet. And most cryptos out there today simply weren't designed for online payments. And the goal of the Cody crypto is to achieve an infrastructure for online payments that's simple, transparent, trustworthy, instantaneous, and scalable, which no blockchain for payments has really achieved to date. So Cody is aiming to be that missing piece of the puzzle, a crypto and platform actually designed with online payments in mind. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find out more about Cody and their ICO by using the links below the video. This is not financial advice and should not be interpreted as such, and everybody should do their own research on any project that they're interested in.